Hi, everyone. This is Jolene. I am the date and relationship coach with It's Just Lunch and Elite Private Search. And I'm really excited for our interview today. So I'm sitting here with Greg Anderson. Hi, Greg.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good.
I will introduce you a little bit. So, Greg and I met at a very fast paced growing life coaching, it's place
Mastermind
that,
group, life
yeah,
coaching,
all
you
of
name
it.
it, business coaching, it's all the things.
Yeah, and he is the chief technology officer for the Lion's Den, it is called. And so when we met a couple months ago, he led he started off our day by leading through a meditation, and I felt so drawn to you and your energy when I was at that event. I thought this is what our clients need to hear. They need to witness, they need to see, they need a tool. So I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about how meditation might add to someone's dating experience, and calm themselves and center them before they meet.
Sure.
And so if you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself first, that'd be great.
Well, about me. Um, let's see. When it comes to entrepreneur for 20 years. 2014, I wrote a book called The Selfish Divorce, which became an Amazon bestseller in 4 different family categories. That led me to running divorce support groups, mainly through Facebook. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at a time would run into these categories. And in this scenario, at the same time, I personally was a successful business or successful businessman, but also still a little bit lost. I thought in my life, if I just had a lot of money and I had a hot wife, I'd be happy forever. And it didn't work that way. So it went through this personal development whirlwind, which has taken me now in multiple different continents. I actually, at one point in time, sold all of my belongings, including my Ferrari here in the United States, and I moved to Mexico and different parts of South America. And then that took me into parts of Europe to just study meditation, to study, wholeness, like how do you become a whole person? To study mindset, subconscious reprogramming, neuro-linguistic programming, just all the things that make up a human, because we're just a bunch of chemicals that are telling us how to act, when and where, and why to be nervous about certain things. I wanted to dissect that and did that whole process, like studied in these hidden and underground temples. I've lived with monks, did all the things. And came back and resettled into a home. I'd spent years training personal development, but like I said before, I got to a level where I thought, oh, if this was all I needed to do, then life would be perfect. And when my marriage didn't work out, then that took me back into an internal process to just say, okay, now what? How do I figure this out? And how do I do more? And now that I look back at it, it's been 6 or 7 years now since I've made that journey. And that journey, not living in the United States, lasted for almost 3 years. But the whole thing has been a decade or two. So what it taught me is back then, I was pretty stressed. I didn't understand how to communicate with a woman. I didn't understand my businesses, even though I was successful at it and it looked great on the outside. Some of the internal components was very nervous. Like if I spoke to a really beautiful woman, or if I got into a business meeting with people more successful than me, I got really just nervous. My exterior wouldn't show that, but my interior did, which also meant that I was at the top of my game. Not that I couldn't do more, I personally couldn't handle more. My central nervous system wouldn't let me. Years now, back through that scenario and using meditation and other tools as my daily practice, far more successful in business, own more companies now than I did before, support more people, and just have really beautiful relationships, whether it's with a woman that's a friend, whether it's in a romantic scenario. I feel good and helps learn how to remanage all of the systems that were going inside the body.
Wow. there's so many things that are going through my head right now that I didn't even expect. Um, so the first thing that popped in was your book,
Mm,
The Selfish Divorce.
yeah.
Um, tell me a little bit more about that, because I do work with, a lot of the women and men that will be watching this are, some were married for 40 years and lost the love of their life. A lot have been divorced and starting over, some 10 years, some 25, 30. And then many who have never been married, right? But I think the
Sure.
message is the same that I'm catching from you is, you know, you can if you go on this journey,
Mm.
you'll have more capacity to have greater experiences. So I'd love you to tell me a little bit more about the book, and do you think that that's where our clients should start, is picking up your book and starting there?
It may, if you're going through something, the purpose for that is I actually had a really successful divorce. Years before, when I was 19 years old or 18 years old, I got married and was married for a year. Didn't last very long. I was very young, immature, didn't know how to handle life. And then a little bit later, yes, success happens, and then marriage happens, and the kids happen, and the things, and that divorce. This one was extremely successful. I'd already learned some emotional intelligences and about things that I wanted. So I wrote the book to show two different ways of going down the same path. It's the same path, it was just two different mindsets. And the selfish divorce, the concept behind being selfish, was saying, what's most important for me in this situation? And my number one most, because I had two children with my former spouse, I wanted their lives to be healthy and happy. And that meant that anything else after that one decision was a subsequence. It was something that came later. And how everything that we did was mapped about that. But that also included, like, I needed to support her. And if she wanted to go on a date and, wanted me to watch the kids, or she's getting into a relationship, I got to support her. Even in the beginning, even if in the beginning she didn't like it, wasn't happy about the whole scenario. But that meant for me that I created a new boundary, which I never had boundaries before, which is part of the reasons why we went through this. I became like, I was on time for everything, like everything was paid on time. I showed up on time. I became a better human as a partner, as a co-parent than as a parent. Because before I got married, I didn't really have the boundaries. And so once those things were created, and then working with so many people, most of the drama and pain happens in the divorce scenario or the breakup scenario when neither person is willing to make an actual choice. It's, I don't think this is going to work, so let's separate. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, let's separate. And you're just getting wrong through the ringers the whole time. And so that's what that premise was about, is here are some steps that I took in order to get super clear. Yes, this was what was going to happen, and then how to fulfill that.
I went through a similar experience after my divorce where, I became better, just better, and there's trauma that even if it wasn't a productive divorce, even if it was not a great divorce, there are ways to be, productive and set boundaries and get into the dating world and support each other and, have a clear goal. So I love that. A lot of, you know, um, a lot of the clients I work with, before they're going on a date for the first time, they will have this energy, kind of, when I met you, you had this very clear energy that you were drawn to. And it's hard to articulate how someone can go get that, right? They need to go get
Sure.
that themselves. Um,
Sure.
but I would love for you to talk a little bit about ways that people can clear up their energy before entering into the dating scene, not even a new relationship, but
Sure.
just connecting with other people and making sure that their desires and actions are aligned.
Yeah. And let's start by, in the beginning of the call, you talked about how we met. right?
Yeah.
And then we draw a little framework, because I think that'll help understand when you say clear energy or whatnot. But in this event, there's roughly 50 some odd people that fly in from all over the country. And there's not really a map that's given to anybody. They just said, hey, show up. We're going to do some great work. It's part of a larger mastermind. And let's just, run that whole thing. And so you have 50 different people that have traveled in that don't know what to expect, AKA I'm going on a first date. I don't know what to expect. And multiple personalities, and every single person has their own, successes, but also their own dramas and struggles. It's reasons that we come to in groups, is to, help us move past those things that we don't see. So now you have all of this mix going on. And so in particular, the process that I run for about 30 minutes during those has a lot to do with meditation. It also has a lot to do with framework to help people calm down. Because if you go into a situation knowing that somebody else is nervous, but you can hold strong, it helps them feel more comfortable with you and around you. They're just like, whoa, everybody else that I spent time with, they're as nervous as me, and it creates an additional nervous energy in the room. So if we can diffuse that really quick, we can actually move into something much more personal, something much sweeter, and where we can go a lot deeper by doing this. And so the thought behind getting yourself straight is, if I can be present with somebody for 30 seconds, just like I'm actually listening, I'm not talking in my mind, like, oh my gosh, I wonder what she thinks of me. Oh my gosh, did I brush my teeth? Oh my gosh, did I, whatever. All of those are cues that I actually am not even paying attention to the person that I'm with. Every communication that happens in your head while you're with somebody is you not actually being present. And so the more we can quiet the extra noises that's going on in the head, the more that we can quiet the self-judgments, the judgments from our parents when we were 5 years old because we put our pants on funny, but you're still hearing it in your head. The more that we can get rid of those, the more we can become present, and it allows other people to be present with us. And immediately it's like, oh my gosh, you're my best friend. Where before, people are still trying to figure out, and they're repelling from you because they're trying to figure out, are you trying to lie to them or cause them damage or harm? They don't trust you yet. But when you can become really centered, then you remove all of that noise because you're just here and you're just present with them.
That is probably the most important thing in dating for our clients to hear, because, you're not going on a date to find out, what am I going to get from this person? It's really, what can I give to this atmosphere, to this scenario? What can I go and how can I show up and make the other person just feel like their time is valuable, that they're valuable? And it does take, you got to get centered yourself. You've got to hold strong and hold space for whoever shows up. And you're right, you can go so much deeper. So do you think meditation, a quick meditation is, overall, I know that, lifelong meditation is key, but in these moments, even, someone who's never meditated before, what can they do in the 15 minutes before they are going to walk into that restaurant and meet a stranger, a blind date for the first time?
Sure. So let me ask you, before I give it a tip, let me ask you, as we just, went through this scenario a couple of months ago, what was the difference in you and the people around you by us we only spent 4 minutes in a specific meditation practice. What was the difference in the room for you? Like, what did you experience?
So for me, I hadn't been nervous like that in 10 years. When I came to that event, I was not expecting to be nervous. I meet people all the time. And I was really, really nervous because of the unknown and excited. I had meditated that morning for like 3 hours total before coming to the event. And then when I got there and you said, I'm going to lead you guys through a meditation, I immediately felt like, oh, this is my tribe. I'm at peace. Okay, we're going to go there. And that 4 minutes in the room together was more impactful than the 3 hours I had spent that morning, because I did feel like we're all here together, and definitely more of a merging of, consciousness and goal, and just it's
True.
okay.
100%. And it
Oh, so good.
puts everybody in the room in the same space. You meditated for 3 hours. Somebody else had never meditated before.
Right.
Somebody else had 5 shots of espresso. Somebody else is still hungry. Somebody
Right.
else took a red eye that night. All of it is going on. And we just said, okay, let's clear the field. I'm just going to throw this out there. And for some people, that might sound weird, but I've been in multiple situations where things have they're just off. Like you're meeting somebody for the first time and you're just like, hey, do you mind if we pause and take a quick meditation? And they're like, what? It's like, yeah, let me just run you through something really quick. And if anything else, just indulge me. I'm just a little bit nervous in this scenario and I would like to be present with you. Is that okay? And it's like, yeah. And then boom, it's like kismet fate after that. They're just like,
Done.
wow, somebody's actually willing to tell me what they need in this moment and ask for support. Of course I would support them. It might sound a little odd, but I'm just throwing it out there. It works really well.
It works perfect for dating. If everyone came on a date and just said, hey, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for showing up. I was a little nervous, but I can't wait to just get started.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Ice broken.
Yeah.
Like, let's move forward, so
Take
I
a
love
deep
this.
breath together.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, okay, I can feel you. We're connected. Yeah, you're not like any of the other people that I already went out with just because you're present.
That's the thing, it's that I see the feedback, thousands of feedback, and the dates they're okay and they're pleasant, and everybody's a nice, dateable, likable human. But what is that like? That everybody wants to know what that spark and chemistry is, and it's people showing up just
Yeah.
like you're explaining.
Yeah. One of my gurus once a long time ago explained something. He said, I can sit in a room, a whole large room of people, and I can have a conversation or I can be quiet for hours. And I can just sit there and listen and not have a single thought going on in my head. And I thought, this guy's crazy. Like, how can you actually do that? But what he was doing was caring so much about the other people in the room that he wouldn't allow all of these other conversations to go on in the mind, which normally do. You go sideways and squirrels go this way. And you think, yeah, somebody tells a story like, oh, yeah, that was just like me. I can't wait to tell everybody else how that person is just like me because of their story. But whenever you do that, you stop being present. And if you can just find the will to become present, and there's tools for this, we'll talk about these here in a second because you'd asked about them. And there's a lot of different kinds, and we'll kind of cover this. But if you can just learn how to be present because you care about somebody else, even if you're not romantically involved or interested, you go on a first date and you're just like, well, I don't know that they're really me, but you can stay present. You have a best friend for life, and that's worth that time and that effort.
It is, it would be my dream. We definitely at It's Just Lunch promote a culture where, everybody is kind, everybody is showing up, right? But it would be my dream that people felt comfortable enough with themselves to get out of their heads for that moment, and just give. So, oh, I'm so inspired right now.
Good, good. So to try to explain what this feels like how do you actually do this? There's a little bit of science that comes involved. We hear the analogy, my head and my heart don't match. They're not going in the same direction. I know what my heart wants, I know what my head wants. And the truth is, in that scenario, you're really not sure what any of it wants. You're just confused and acting on impulses and what your past history is like. But it works this way. It's our brain itself. It has a bunch of neurons on it. They look like little gnats that are flying in and out of the brain all the time, and they're carrying energy and information all the way through. It's how we've learned, it's our memories, it's what the sky is blue. All of these things are happening and they're buzzing. And if you never take a moment to just like center even in your own thoughts, they're like static electricity. because they're just going. It's an ungroomed or an untamed mind, and it's just like a weeded garden. Things are going on all over the place. But if you take a few minutes and you start to work on a few forms of meditation, which causes a little bit more clarity or gives you a little bit more strength to hold presence, they actually move slower. And at times they'll actually start spinning in unison. You're like, whoa, now I know where I'm at. Our heart physically has its own set of neurons that are called neuropeptides. And they run around the heart and they tell the heart how to operate. And whenever you feel something in the heart, it's because these neuropeptides are telling your heart there's something good, something bad, and it's relaying information back up into your brain. So it's true that we have a second heart or second brain over our heart. That's why we can act on our heart. But if this is static and this is static, then there's no way to connect the two. You feel out of alignment. Like you walk into a room with somebody and you're just like, whoa, you feel like static. It's not a judgment against them.
Right.
You're just so here that how am I going to communicate if you're just so staticky? There's this barrier between us. So working on a few forms of meditation that help strengthen that, bring that heart and that mind back into alignment, or just holding focus. And I say this because there's tons of different kinds of modalities of meditation, some which are music and binary beats meant to, turn certain frequencies on in the brain. Some which are guided meditations. You just lay down on the couch and you feel good. Others are whatever, there's literally 1,000 of them, but there's a few of them that are created to create more mental strength. It's like going to the gym, and doing reps. At first it hurts and you're saying, I can't do this. I can't spend 3 minutes by myself. Maybe that's true. Mm-hmm. But over time, you keep building those reps and you become stronger at it. It's just like being, going to the gym and feeling great about your body because you're strong. The same thing happens with the heart and the mind. And that's what creates that presence where people are like, whoa, I just want to be by that person.
Right. I remember the very first time I meditated, it was probably close to 12 to 15 years ago. And my body I just was sobbing. It was 60 seconds. And there was so much blocked in my body. I was wild. It was the most uncomfortable experience. And now I fast forward and I'm like, I can't even believe where I'm at, but it's like, you need to sit with your body.
Yep.
Wow.
Just let it run, stop blocking it, let it be. For a few years, I ran this program called One Mind, and I don't run it currently, but it was a live streaming meditation application. I would only let people run live streaming meditations. And I would train people all over the world. And at times we'd have 1,000 people on, or we would do whatever. And there are so many messages that I would get, not just from women, but since I'm a man with a masculine voice, it just seems to interact differently inside of women's bodies. And I've had messages like, I don't know, I haven't cried in 3 years, but I cried during this. I haven't had an orgasm in 10 years, but I had an orgasm in the middle of a meditation. I've done these things, and it basically is because you've given yourself time to let all of those unprocessed thoughts and emotions run through your body. And that if it's unprocessed, it's always stored. But once it's processed, you don't have to carry that trauma anymore. It can just float out of you. And so it's another emotional benefit that comes along with this. When you say, I felt blocked and now I'm not, I'm holding on to this trauma from my teenage years or my adult years or this abuse. And I'm holding it so tight in my heart that nothing else will get there. And so there's times where this just flows out of you.
I know. Do you feel that can happen? My biggest worry now that we're there is like, I'm going to send someone on a date. They're going to sit in their car and they're going to have a moment there. And
it would be beautiful.
Fine.
We would have the best conversation. It's like, look, I was really nervous. I had it in the car. I did a couple of meditation. This thing about, the past flew through me. I got to fix my eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel really good. And now you have a story to tell, and the whole ice breaking
totally
thing. Yeah.
That's totally. Actually brilliant.
But how about meditation isn't, when you close your eyes and you sit down and you do your thing, this is practice, right? Being able to live in presence is why you meditate. You don't meditate because it's the only thing to do or it's a chore. It's just like going to the gym. If I want to be a good runner or whatever, I get to run. I practice. If I want a strong heart, I'm going to run around the block a few times. So this is the same thing. We take a little bit of time, set it aside so that the rest of our day, we can stay in this strength.
Well, and I guess that will lead me to the offer that is so amazing. Greg has created, spending hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars creating amazing meditations. I listened to them this morning and last night, and I loved it. I just loved them all. And so he has let me share them with all of our clients, which is pretty incredible. So they will be attached to this interview and available for download.
Awesome.
And I think you should give it a try. I think you should listen to them, see what feels right for you, and start doing some research on meditation, on your aligning your heart with your brain, right? Do you have any last I don't know, tips or thoughts
If
for
you want me to
everyone?
teach you how we did that one
Oh,
meditation
perfect.
in 30 seconds or less.
Perfect.
It basically is you take out your phone, you set it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 4 minutes. It has to be over 4, at least 4 minutes for this to work. Put the alarm down, sit down, and you basically take your hands and you're going to place them somewhere close to your heart. And what you're doing is you're telling your physiology of your body, I want to pay attention to here. Touching it automatically creates this intention and attention on the body. The second part of that is you're going to take your eyes or your peripheral vision and you close them, and you're going to put your attention right around the center of your forehead. Some would call that your third eye. It's not that you're rolling back, it's that you're putting your focus right in the center of the brain, and you're going to hold it there. This is the part that gets hard for people, because when you close your eyes, your eyes want to move right and left, which is not keeping you in center. Every time you're thinking of the past or the future, you're looking right or left. So you're holding this just for a couple minutes right here, and you just close your eyes, you hold your attention here, and keep this. Do that for 4 minutes and practice that attention.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. I can't wait for everybody to see this. It is like my dream coming together in dating, and I don't know if I shared with you, but I'm like, after getting deeper in down the rabbit hole with the meditation, I'm like, I could do this for all day, and you did all day for years.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
So I just thank you for your time. I really appreciate you so much. I think this was like really amazing for everyone.
Good. I hope it helps, and have everybody a blessed and fun day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.